a therapist enters her patient's mind, only to discover a terrifying demon. The movie begins by showing a woman named Cynthia standing alone inside an empty classroom. The walls are covered with disturbing messages that repeatedly say, "Help me." At the same time, Cynthia hears the voice of a little boy desperately calling for help. Curious, she follows the sound through a dark hallway until she eventually reaches a dimly lit room. Inside, a bald man can be seen sitting with his back facing Cynthia. Not far from him is an iron cage holding a frightened young boy named Larry. Seeing his condition, Cynthia immediately tells Larry to try escaping while reassuring him that evil will not control him forever. However, before they can do anything, the bald man suddenly reacts. A glass near Cynthia shatters on its own as if crushed by an invisible force, and the broken pieces cut her hand. The man then slowly stands up and begins walking toward her, making Cynthia realize the situation is no longer safe. She quickly tells Larry that they will come back and try to save him another time.
Larry, you are in control here.
Don't talk to him.
Door's open. I can't let you out. Only you can.
Moments later, Cynthia suddenly wakes up. It is then revealed that what just happened was not an ordinary dream. Cynthia is actually a psychotherapist with a special ability that allows her to enter the subconscious minds of her patients to uncover the source of the trauma haunting them. The patient Cynthia is treating turns out to be Larry, who is now an adult. Meanwhile, the little boy Cynthia saw earlier was actually Larry's younger self, still trapped inside painful memories caused by the traumatic experiences he endured as a child. The trauma has left deep scars that continue haunting Larry even into adulthood. Even more disturbing, the bald man inside those memories is connected to a part of Larry's past that he has never truly escaped. What is even more shocking is that anything Cynthia experiences inside a patient's subconscious can affect reality. This becomes clear when the injury on Cynthia's hand remains real, even after leaving Larry's memories.
That's all the time we have for today.
After finishing the session, Cynthia asks her daughter, Jordan, to investigate the identity of the bald man. The search eventually reveals that the man was Doug, Larry's former PE teacher, who had once hurt him in the past. Not long after, someone knocks on Cynthia's door. When Jordan opens it, she finds a frightened little girl standing outside. Even though there are no scheduled appointments that day, Jordan still lets her in. The girl claims she is in danger and says that someone named Agatha Baker told her to come see Cynthia. As Jordan looks closer, she notices severe burn marks covering the girl's hands. Worried, Jordan suggests contacting the police, but the girl refuses and insists that only Cynthia can help her. Shortly after, she introduces herself as Riley and begins explaining that she often sees a terrifying, dark figure following her everywhere. Jordan tries asking where the burns on Riley's hands came from. However, before Riley can answer, she suddenly freezes in fear while staring behind Jordan because the dark figure is standing directly behind her. Of course, Jordan cannot see anything, but a few seconds later, Cynthia appears and immediately realizes something is wrong because she can see a horrifying entity tightly clinging to Riley. Riley's father, Randall, suddenly arrives looking furious and quickly drags his daughter out of Cynthia's house.
What's your name? Riley Harris. I see things. Can you describe it to me? Yes. Dark, like a person, like a starving dog. Is he here right now? It's standing right behind me. I can feel it. Jordan, who's at the...
Hey, Riley! Right! Get in the truck.
The incident leaves Jordan convinced that Riley and her father are hiding something. Believing the girl genuinely needs help, Jordan asks her mother to intervene. However, Cynthia firmly refuses. She explains that whatever is attached to Riley is not something ordinary and is far too dangerous to confront.
She was terrified on her arm. I mean, her dad's obviously hiding something. Something's happening to that girl. There's nothing we can do for her. There is something attached to that girl. Something terrible.
Later that night, Jordan shares the information she discovered about Larry's past and reveals that Larry's former gym teacher was named Doug. During their conversation, it becomes clear that Cynthia has a deeply personal reason for avoiding cases like Riley's. Cynthia explains that her husband, who was also Jordan's father, died tragically while trying to handle a similar case. Although the exact cause of his death was never fully understood, Cynthia believes her husband's death by hanging was connected to the same entity he had encountered back then. Since that incident, the fear of losing loved ones has continued haunting Cynthia, making her reluctant to involve herself in similar situations. Even so, Jordan keeps trying to convince her mother that they should at least attempt to help Riley before it is too late. Despite this, Cynthia stubbornly refuses because she does not want to risk facing something she believes is far more dangerous than they can handle. That same night, Jordan experiences a strange dream. In her dream, she sees a younger version of herself standing alone inside an old house with a staircase leading up to the attic right in front of her. Just as young Jordan is about to climb the stairs, Jordan suddenly wakes up, breathing heavily. The next morning, curiosity drives Jordan to visit Agatha Baker in hopes of learning more about Riley and her family.
I was hoping your mother was coming too. No, I just wanted to ask you. Did somebody show up at the house yesterday? Does the name Riley Harris?
Agatha explains that Riley's father, Randall, works as a carpenter and had previously helped restore several pieces of old furniture for her. That is how they first met. Agatha also reveals that Randall recently lost his wife. On top of that, she personally noticed the burn marks on Riley's hands, which worried her enough to eventually suggest that the family seek help from Cynthia. Agatha eventually gave Randall Cynthia's phone number, hoping she could help his daughter. After hearing that, Jordan, who was still curious, immediately asked Agatha for Randall's address and decided to go there alone to find out what was really happening to Riley. Meanwhile, back at home, Cynthia contacted her friend, John, a police officer. Out of nowhere, Cynthia asked John to arrest Doug, Larry's former PE teacher. The request naturally confused John because, in his opinion, there was no clear reason to make an arrest. When John asked whether Cynthia had any evidence, she simply replied that she had a strong feeling. Although it sounded strange, John still ordered his men to secretly keep an eye on Doug.
Doug Ferry. He's probably in his 60s now.
You're good at getting hunches, but you never give me a reason.
You know I can't explain. Just keep an eye on.
I got a lot of shitty people to keep an eye on. Sending you a name and address. Can we send a car to run surveillance?
Elsewhere, Jordan finally arrived at Randall's house and immediately tried speaking with him. Jordan explained that she wanted to see Riley and help her. However, Randall firmly refused, insisting that everything was under control and they did not need anyone's help. Jordan continued begging for a chance to talk to Riley, but Randall only became angrier, telling Jordan to stop interfering before going back inside and leaving her alone outside. Feeling that something was being hidden, Jordan secretly entered Randall's house through the back door to search for Riley. As she explored the inside of the house, Jordan found a door, but after opening it, she realized it was only an ordinary closet. Even so, something felt strange. Her instincts told her the place was hiding something. She started moving the hanging clothes aside until she discovered a hidden door behind them. Since it was locked, Jordan searched for a screwdriver and eventually managed to open it. Behind the secret door was a passage leading to the basement. Holding a flashlight, Jordan slowly walked down the stairs while repeatedly calling Riley's name. At first, Jordan assumed Randall was imprisoning Riley there. However, that assumption instantly changed when Riley suddenly appeared and told her that she was not the one being held captive. Before Jordan could understand what Riley meant, Randall suddenly appeared from behind and knocked her unconscious. The scene then shifts to Cynthia. At home, Cynthia begins feeling anxious because Jordan has not returned yet. Not long after, she receives a call from Agatha informing her that Jordan had visited earlier before heading to Randall's house. Hearing this, Cynthia immediately realizes something is wrong and quickly leaves to find her daughter.
Hello? Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Agatha. Randall here. She stopped by earlier today asking his daughter. I'm on my way over. Be outside. Sorry. Their mom? Shocking.
Meanwhile, Jordan wakes up in the basement with her hands tied behind her back. She soon realizes she is not alone. Nearby, there is a woman whose body looks severely damaged, and she is tied up just like Jordan. Not long after, Randall appears. Jordan immediately tries convincing him that her mother has special abilities and might be able to save Riley. However, Randall explains that he has already asked other people for help many times before. Instead of receiving help, those attempts only led authorities to try taking Riley away from him. That is why he no longer trusts anyone. Desperately, Randall reveals that Riley has been forced to feed the entity all this time because if she does not, the creature will eventually consume Riley's soul instead. After losing his wife to the same thing, Randall cannot bear the thought of losing his daughter too. That is why he has been willing to do horrifying things, including sacrificing other people just to make sure the entity continues to have something to feed on. Even the woman imprisoned there appears to have been used as a source of energy for a long time so the creature could keep receiving what it needed. Not long after, Riley approaches Jordan and places both hands on her shoulders. At that moment, Jordan instantly feels her body weakening, as if all of her energy is being drained away. At the same time, real burn marks begin appearing on her arms. Only then is it revealed that the entity attached to Riley has been feeding on Jordan's life force through physical contact. Once the process ends, the terrifying presence disappears. Riley and Randall then return upstairs as if everything that just happened was completely normal. From their conversation, Jordan slowly realizes that Randall never intended to kill her directly. Instead, he planned to take Jordan far away to an isolated place so her energy could continue being drained as food for the entity. Randall knows Jordan will eventually be searched for, so he plans to disappear somewhere no one will ever find them. To make sure Jordan cannot be tracked, Randall even destroys her phone without hesitation. After losing his wife, Randall seems willing to do absolutely anything to ensure Riley does not suffer the same fate, even if it means sacrificing innocent people. However, despite everything, Riley still believes Cynthia can save her. While Randall is distracted, Riley secretly takes a pair of cutting pliers and returns to the basement to rescue Jordan. Jordan tries convincing Riley that her mother is truly capable of helping. Hearing that, Riley gives the cutting pliers to Jordan before leaving again. Jordan quickly uses them to free her hands. Back at home, Jordan experiences the same nightmare again, but this time it feels far more terrifying than before. In the darkness, she hears a horrifying voice repeatedly whispering that it wants to be fed. When Jordan refuses, black vines suddenly appear and attack her from every direction, until she finally wakes up in a state of panic and fear. Unable to fall asleep again, Jordan begins sensing that something inside the house feels wrong. The atmosphere is unsettling, as if someone is watching her. Feeling uneasy, she walks downstairs to check the house. However, the moment she reaches the kitchen, Jordan freezes in fear after seeing the demonic figure hiding in the corner of the room while staring directly at her. Before Jordan can run away, Randall suddenly appears out of nowhere and kidnaps her. Not long afterward, Cynthia returns home and finds Agatha lying unconscious on the floor while Jordan has vanished without a trace. Cynthia immediately panics and starts shouting at the police officer guarding the house, telling him that her daughter has been kidnapped. It turns out Randall is driving deeper into the forest with Jordan trapped inside his car. With her hands tied, Jordan keeps begging to be released while insisting that she only wanted to help Riley. However, Randall firmly tells her that none of this is about Riley anymore because the entity has now moved into Jordan's body. After losing Riley and seeing the creature find a new host once again, Randall seems to realize that all the horrifying things he did in the past have ultimately failed. That is why, this time he chooses to take Jordan deep into the forest and bury her alive together with the entity, hoping the creature will eventually starve to death or return to wherever it came from before finding another victim. After that, Randall forces Jordan into a coffin, nails it shut, and lowers it into a hole he had already prepared. Jordan cries and screams for help from inside the coffin, but Randall buries her alive without showing even the slightest hesitation before finally leaving the place behind. Randall later turns himself in at the police station. Cynthia, overwhelmed with panic, immediately rushes to him and begs Randall to reveal where Jordan is. However, Randall remains silent and refuses to say anything. Running out of options, Cynthia asks John for permission to speak with Randall alone. She believes she can use her abilities to locate Jordan through Randall's mind. At first, John refuses because it clearly violates police procedure.
Just let me talk to him.
I'm sorry, I can't let you do that.
If I don't talk to him, we might not ever find her.
It's so against protocol.
I don't. Just trust me.
I'm sorry.
Meanwhile, trapped inside the coffin buried deep in the forest, Jordan desperately struggles to survive. Surrounded by complete darkness, she searches for anything that might help her escape until she eventually finds a flashlight. But the moment she turns it on, Jordan is horrified to see the terrifying entity suddenly appear directly in front of her inside the cramped space. At the same time, John finally receives confirmation that Doug, the man Cynthia had previously suspected, is indeed a child abductor. At that moment, John begins realizing that Cynthia's instincts and abilities have been real all along. Because of this, he finally allows Cynthia to enter Randall's interrogation room. The moment she gets the chance, Cynthia immediately uses her ability to enter Randall's mind. Inside, she sees fragments of Randall's memories connected together. First, she witnesses the hospital where Randall's wife died tragically. Then her vision shifts to the basement where countless horrifying events took place. Finally, Cynthia sees the last location, the forest where Randall buried Jordan alive. While inside Randall's memories, Cynthia carefully memorizes every clue she sees, from the directions and surroundings to specific details that might help her locate the place later. Once she feels she has learned enough, she quickly escapes Randall's mind before it is too late. The moment she returns to reality, Randall suddenly begins screaming hysterically that Jordan has to die so the demon cannot move to another person ever again. Cynthia immediately informs John that Jordan has been buried somewhere in the forest, but she still does not know the exact location. Without wasting any time, Cynthia grabs Randall's shovel and leaves with Agatha to search for her daughter. Even without knowing the precise location, Cynthia follows the instincts and clues she saw inside Randall's memories.
Where are we going? What are we gonna find? When we get there, I need you to trust me.
Meanwhile, back at the police station, John orders every available unit to follow Cynthia's route into the forest so they can help find Jordan as quickly as possible.
For fresh tire tracks and any sign of Cynthia's car, I want units searching any entrances to forest and
In the middle of the dark forest, Cynthia continues following the signs she remembers from the vision. Eventually, she arrives at a place she believes is where Jordan was buried. Without hesitation, Cynthia and Agatha immediately begin digging. After digging deep enough, they finally discover Jordan's coffin and quickly smash through the wooden boards to open it. But the moment the coffin opens, Cynthia is shocked to see the demon hovering directly above Jordan, who is already extremely weak and close to death inside. At that moment, Cynthia realizes the only way to save her daughter is to enter Jordan's subconscious and confront the creature herself. In the middle of the chaos, the sound of approaching police sirens begins echoing through the forest. Agatha quickly distracts the arriving officers so Cynthia can stay focused on performing the ritual. Cynthia then places her hand on Jordan's forehead and begins entering her daughter's subconscious. Moments later, Cynthia successfully enters Jordan's mind and finds herself standing outside their old house. In front of the house, Jordan is sitting quietly, her face filled with fear, as if she is too terrified to step inside. Seeing this, Cynthia tells Jordan to stay outside while she enters the house alone to confront the entity herself. Inside the house, Cynthia discovers that the entire building has fallen into ruin and is covered with black vines spreading through every corner as if they were alive. She slowly makes her way upstairs until she eventually reaches the staircase leading to the attic, the same staircase that has haunted Jordan's nightmares for years. Even though fear is clearly written across her face, Cynthia forces herself to keep climbing. The moment she reaches the attic, she is horrified to see her husband there, hanging lifelessly. For a brief moment, Cynthia stands frozen, unable to hold back her grief after seeing the man she has missed for so long. But she quickly realizes that everything around her could simply be another trick created by the demon to weaken her. Because of that, she forces herself to stay calm and focus on saving Jordan. Suddenly, the demonic entity appears and violently grabs Cynthia by the throat, as if trying to consume her soul on the spot. However, Cynthia has already prepared herself for this confrontation. With the last of her strength and courage, she places her hand against the demon's forehead and forces her way deeper into its subconscious. Moments later, Cynthia finds herself inside a dark world filled with enormous black vines. The place looks like the creature's true nest. Carrying a lantern, Cynthia slowly walks through the darkness, searching for the demon before it is too late. At the same time, Jordan is unknowingly exploring her own subconscious as well. Despite the fear that has haunted her for years, Jordan finally gathers the courage to climb the staircase that has appeared in her nightmares over and over again. When she reaches the top, Jordan sees her father's body hanging there. The sight instantly shatters her, and she breaks down crying because this is the trauma she has carried alone for so long. Meanwhile, inside the demon's dark realm, Cynthia finally locates the creature in its nest. This time, she's completely prepared to put an end to the terror that has destroyed their lives. Armed with a spear, Cynthia slowly approaches the demon, ready to strike.
You're hungry. We get it.
But just as she is fully focused on confronting the creature, John accidentally calls out her name in the real world. The small interruption breaks Cynthia's concentration, and the demon immediately takes advantage of the opportunity to attack.
What are you doing?
Take me and leave her alone.
In an instant, black tentacles burst forward and wrap around Cynthia's arms and legs, leaving her unable to move. Back in the real world, Cynthia's body begins convulsing in pain. Watching this happen, John finally realizes that Cynthia is truly fighting inside the subconscious. This time, he chooses not to interfere and instead lets her finish the battle on her own. Meanwhile, inside the subconscious, Jordan eventually finds her mother being restrained by the demon within the attic. Jordan desperately tries pulling away the demon's grip on Cynthia, but she fails. Little by little, the demon moves closer towards Cynthia's helpless body, seemingly preparing to devour her soul. But just when everything appears lost, Jordan finally manages to push deeper into the demon's subconscious. Her presence gives Cynthia the opportunity to fight back. Together, mother and daughter combine their strength, and Jordan finally succeeds in freeing Cynthia from the creature's black tentacles. Once free, Cynthia and Jordan attack the demon together using the weapons they possess. They continue fighting relentlessly until the creature finally weakens and stops moving entirely. And for the first time, the terror that had haunted them for so long finally comes to an end. Back in the real world, Cynthia suddenly wakes up. Not long afterward, Jordan also begins showing signs of life. Seeing that both of them survived, John feels relieved and immediately calls for medical assistance. 6 months after those events, Cynthia is once again seen standing in front of her old house, the same house that has carried years of trauma and painful memories for their family. Standing at the entrance, Cynthia sees a younger version of Jordan frozen in fear. But this time, everything is different. Slowly, Cynthia encourages Jordan to face her fear at last. And for the first time, Jordan finally finds the courage to climb the staircase that has haunted her nightmares all these years. When she reaches the attic, Jordan gently removes the rope wrapped around her father's neck. The moment becomes a symbol that Jordan has finally confronted the trauma of her past and chosen to make peace with the fear that has followed her for so long. After that, Cynthia returns to reality and immediately embraces Jordan tightly. Even though their bodies are covered in wounds caused by everything they endured, it all feels worth it because they finally succeeded in defeating the demon that had terrorized their lives. Now, Cynthia and Jordan can finally live in peace, free from the nightmares that once haunted them, and begin a new chapter in their lives. And with that, the story comes to an end.